70 quid a week to feed and clothe the extra kid? That's hardly living it up. Kemi Badenoch has no clue. Benefits are a lifeline, not a lifestyle. Really? Really? Dale Vince, council hair himself, Dale Vince. How does a bloke with that much money look like he cuts his own hair with boxing gloves on? It's unbelievable. Dale Vince knows less than nothing about real life, and neither does his cycloptic colleague, Gordon Brown.
Now, evidently, my cycloptic colleague informs me that that can't be done.
Right, it is a lifestyle choice. We know this. Anyone who's ever been into a council estate knows this. Anyone who's ever had a local pub and they've seen the detritus of humanity in there with 11 kids while they're asleep in Wetherspoons, right? We've all seen them. It definitely is a lifestyle choice. So I'm going to read you this complete bollocks by the cycloptic one himself, and then prove to you beyond any doubt why I want baby for money is the mantra of the Dole Waller. In an exclusive opinion piece by Gordon Brown in the Mirror, he lambasts the Conservatives for peddling cruel myths. It's not a myth if you've ever walked through a council estate, is it? It's not a myth if you've seen a bunch of doilies in nicer trainers and better clothes than you when you pull your pudding out all day in the corn factory or on a building site or driving a bus or cleaning windows or carrying bricks or doing any of the normal jobs that working class people do while scruffy, dirty, multiply like wet gremlins, webbed feet, low IQ mutants make a career out of it. Don't tell me Dale Vince, an out-of-touch former Prime Minister Cyclops, don't tell me that they're peddling myths. You might as well tell me up is down and left is right, you lying, one-eyed frisp twat. There he is, looks like shite, he's aged like milk because humans are like bananas and we display an outward side of our inward contents, and this man is a human toilet. The former Downing Street squatter, the baggy-faced, resentful socialist sack of rats, looks like man barely alive. Was it cold in the ground this morning, Gordon? You walking corpse? That's his name from now on, MBA. Man barely alive. Let's get to it, shall we? Excuse the massive gaps. There's more adverts on the Daily Mirror website than you'd find in like a London telephone box. You know, in like Soho where there's a rub and tug shop every 10 yards. Rachel Reeves' budget made history last week by stealing money off working class people to give to career shitbags. Sorry, I mean lifting kids out of poverty. To her great credit, she has won the first round of the long battle against child deprivation. Ending the two-child limit is the right policy, but we need to deploy the right arguments to win the war of public opinion. You'll never win the war of public opinion because Mick Philpott, I've got your haven't I, old one eye. The public all know a dolly. Every single person watching this video knows scum who've never worked for a living, who have grandchildren when they're 29, and then the great-grandparents by the time they're 39, because scum begets scum begets scum. You know it, I know it, anybody who's ever walked through a council estate knows it, but these raving lunatic socialists haven't got a Scooby-Doo. And furthermore, this is a circular argument because we didn't have a two-child limit when you were the Prime Minister, did we, Gordon? And did you end child poverty there? No, you didn't. Because the scrubbers get 70 quid a week off the government for the kids, right? They spend a tenner on turkey Twizzlers, and then the other 60 goes on Special Brew, Super Kings, and Chicago Town pizzas, so you haven't got a clue what you're talking about. That means exposing this week's Tory lie that abolition does not help children out of poverty, but simply subsidises the work-shy, the indolent, and the feckless. That is probably the only true thing the Tories have said in the last 5 years, so hats off to them. It was the omnishambles Chancellor George Osborne who first claimed unemployed mothers were having third and fourth children to get extra welfare cash, and they were. Want baby for money. Now Kemi Badenoch plans to run a nationwide campaign from here to the next election about what she calls Benefit Street. telling hard-pressed working families their taxes are paying for welfare scroungers to game the social security system. The picture they are painting is completely wrong and untrue. They are peddling lies. No, they are peddling straight, unvarnished facts. You are a liar, Gordon. And damn you, may my tongue turn black, damn you for making me stick up for the Tories. For 14 years, they increased the number of children living in poverty, bollocks. Their record on poverty is why so many teenagers are ill-equipped for school, blah, blah, blah. And now make up the 1 million not in education, employment or training. They're the NEET. And it's because they can sit on the fat asses and do nothing. We've made an entire society dependent on welfare. It's to help young people get into work. That, to her credit, Rachel Reeves announced a new policy that will help those victims of Tory spending cuts, austerity children, to get their first job. They do less work than the ship's cat. They do less work than John Wayne's safety catch. They will never get a job because you've incentivised being a career dolly. That's what you always do. Blah, blah, blah. Britain is taking the next step. I mean, honestly, and that article's tiny. That's it. Then you're at the comment. Exclusive. He wrote about 200 words. So, what have we got to take away from this? Well, that was total lies from start to finish. The article was full of bollocks. Mick Philpott is a shining example of the career welfare recipient that we gave money to multiply like bacteria because the spiteful, resentful communists purposely want the system to collapse so they can go, the system doesn't work. We're already nearly there. There's no incentive to work. You're better off if you sit on your ass. You genuinely are better off if you sit on your ass. If you were a fat chav and you stay at home all day long, but you've got 5 kids, you've got more disposable income because the state pays your council tax and your rent of your council house and your bills and your phone, and the state looks after them, and people like me and thee, dear listener, brickies and plumbers and window fitters and bus drivers, get the balls taxed off us, and after we've paid council tax, rent, phone bill, car insurance, petrol, you've basically got about 40 quid a week to spend on yourself, which is a lot less than the fat chavs in the council estates. You know it, I know it, everybody who isn't a brain-dead shit-for-brains politician knows it, and may the Lord strike me down if I've told you any lies. All right? That's it about summed up. If you disagree because you're an absolute shithead and you've never even talked to a working class person or been into a working class pub, please let me know. Type some total bollocks in the comments so we can all have a laugh, yeah? Put your wine spritzer down and your copy of The Guardian and retire to the scullery with your iMac and type some shit in the comments. All right? Thanks for tuning in. See you later on. Toodle pip. Cheers.